Hey there champs, today we have a double feature, a double header, a 2-for-1. And the whole boxing world is saying that Edgar Berlanga came in nearly 193 pounds against Canelo Alvarez this past Saturday. Now, that's basically a cruiserweight and only 7 pounds away being shy from being a heavyweight. And that is pretty heavy. No wonder Canelo Alvarez was not able to knock out Edgar Berlanga, even though he did knock him down in the 3rd round, which what that says that Canelo still has power, but it was just too much weight to knock out a 193 pounder in Edgar Berlanga. A lot of people say he did show chin, but I mean, the weight was just too much, I believe. But it does seem that these young fighters are actually doing that. And I have no clue how they're able to rebound that much weight overnight, because they tested in the morning for the weight, right? So now he did 25 pounds overnight. That is crazy. Every time I'm trying to bulk up, it's hard to gain that much weight. And right now it's bulking season, so I'm hitting more calories and I'm hitting more weights. I'm not really doing cardio. I'm just trying to gain muscle for the winter. You know, it's handcuffing season, guys. But Canelo did say in separate interviews in the past that David Benavidez only brings up 25 pounds during the fight night. And this is exactly what Edgar Berlanga brought to the table, because Edgar Berlanga was not a champion. He's never fought for a world title. But the only thing that was selling this fight is that Edgar Berlanga is undefeated and he had power on both hands. So that was selling the fight, and it sold well, I believe. I think it probably did better than the Jaime Munguia fight. But I mean, they both did well. I mean, undisputed fighters is great, champions are great, but I always said that the next best thing is being an undefeated fighter, because there's still a mystery if anybody can beat that fighter, even though they haven't become champions yet. And this is true, because if it wasn't the case, this is exactly how they promoted this fight, as him being a knockout artist and an undefeated fighter, because that is something to lean on. And before I even said that, I don't think they were promoting fights this way, because if you're an undefeated fighter, even if you're not tested, there's still a mystery if somebody's able to beat you or not, and if you're an undefeated fighter for a reason or not. And that is still a mystery and like an expectation that no one has been able to defeat this guy. Frank Martin was undefeated, so that sold pretty well. He wasn't a champion. But also the Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis fight. Ryan Garcia was not a champion either, and he was undefeated. And how many pay-per-view sales did that fight sell? Because they promoted the fight correctly. Both of these guys were undefeated, and Ryan Garcia was very popular. And Tank Davis is one of the faces of boxing, if not the face of boxing. I still say Canelo has a little bit more face of boxing than Tank Davis, because if there was no weight classes and Tank Davis and Canelo Alvarez got in a fight and it was like a catchweight or something, who will be number 1 and who will be number 2? Who's gonna be the A side and the B side? I am pretty sure Canelo will be the A side, even if he has 2 losses. He is just proven. Tank Davis does have a good resume, but it's not like spectacular yet, and he's the senior of all these other fighters that are coming up. All right, guys, in another note, Ryan Garcia was in a talk show called Say Cheese, and he was actually talking mad-ish about Terrence Bud Crawford, saying that he was an overhyped bum and he was just overrated, and people kept comparing him to Floyd Mayweather when he is no Floyd Mayweather, because Floyd Mayweather never really got touched and never really lost too many rounds. And also, the only person that actually hurt Floyd Mayweather was the Sugar Man, Shane Mosley, and also I forgot the other guy's name, but he got hurt by him too. Maidana. But Sugar Shane Mosley was the actual main guy that actually hurt Floyd Mayweather. I believe Floyd Mayweather was grabbing Sugar Shane Mosley's hand, if I recall, and I think that's illegal. I'm not 100% sure on it, but I don't think you could hold other boxers' hand. You could hug them, but not hold their hand. But here comes the meat and potatoes. So okay, Oscar de la Hoya, in a recent interview, or after the Canelo fight, I believe, he says that the fight with Terrence Crawford and Ryan Garcia is actually doable, and it could be expected on April when Ryan Garcia gets out of his suspension, and that will be a great fight for both fighters. But I mean, Ryan Garcia has not been able to make 140. He's been fighting at 143 and 144. That's only 3 pounds away from being at 147. And Terrence Crawford just barely moved from 147 to 154. So I'm sure this fight is gonna have to be taking place either at a catch weight or at 154, which I believe Ryan Garcia is able to make weight at 154 and he'll look okay, because he was actually draining himself to make these lower weight classes, because Ryan Garcia is a big guy. So Ryan also adds, I mean, if he thinks that he is talking mad-ish, that he could see Terrence Crawford in the ring. And man, this fight will sell because of Ryan Garcia and Terrence Crawford. I mean, they're gonna be able to promote it because Terrence Crawford doesn't really talk ish until you talk ish to him first, and Ryan Garcia is gonna do that throughout the promotion. I'll buy this fight. Well, I already buy most fights anyways, and I would really want to watch this fight, and I want to see how Ryan Garcia does at 154 if his power translates to 154, which I'm pretty sure is going to slow down just like everybody does. Everybody that moves up in weight, his power easily slows down. The only way they'll become stronger is if they're really draining themselves at that weight class. If they're not really draining themselves and they're walking around in the walk around weight and then they move up, that's when their power does not translate. But if they're draining themselves to the point where you look like Devin Haney, then your power probably will translate. But in recent interviews, Teofimo wants to get in the mix, and he wants to fight Ryan Garcia and Terrence Crawford. So all of these fighters should lock horns and they should set these fights up, and I'm gonna pay for all 3 of them, you know, because I want all 3 fights to happen. And Tank Davis, he is a small dude, so I mean, if he doesn't get to fight any of these guys, I mean, I can see why. He's not that big. So I mean, he's actually fighting in his walking around weight, in his actual weight class, and everybody else is just kind of slimming down. So if we don't see no Haney fight, it's because Haney is too big already. Pause. And Ryan Garcia as well, and Tank Davis will cap out at 140 pounds. And I don't expect him to go any higher. And if he puts rehydration clauses and all these other guys, it's fair shake because he's a small guy.